here in South Africa, but the birthday of Madiba Nelson Mandela, born all the way back in 1918. So many people, so many organizations doing so many different things to celebrate the birthday. By the way, you head to our website, enca.com. We're asking you, are you doing anything? Doing nothing? How are you celebrating? It's our viewer question. So go and vote there. Also, Twitter @ENCA and Facebook ENCA News. Now, one of those, and this is such an important discussion to have, is basic first aid training, especially CPR, gives everyone the potential to save lives. I can assure you it's one of those skills that you hope you never need to use. But trust me, if you get into a situation, it could certainly save someone's life. So what could it actually do as far as survival rates are concerned, doubling or even tripling the chances of survival after cardiac arrest until someone trained can get there and assist you. So in honor of Mandela Day, Netcare 911 is going to be giving free CPR training. We'll talk about that in a second. But what a pleasure to have on the show with me. I'm joined by Sarah and Kylie from Netcare, going to show us, A, how to perform CPR, but we're going to get there. I don't imagine, morning, the mannequin has a name. Do I need to introduce the mannequin?
He goes by the name of Mandela. He's one of our resident mannequins. And
Morning, Mandela. Okay, we'll get to Mandela in a moment. Kylie, let me start with you, if we don't mind, because I wanted, before we get to CPR and the safety of this, why are you doing this for Mandela Day? Because I know there's something happening down at Robben Island, the VA waterfront.
Correct. So, as you said, you alluded to, Gareth, that CPR is really, it's a skill that you'd rather know and not need than need and not know, and how more fitting than today specifically, in honor of Mr. Nelson Mandela. We have a few initiatives happening, one specifically today. So we will be training staff and residents on Robben Island free of charge. We'll also be training some public as well as some staff at the Robben Island Museum or at the V&A waterfront. It's really 2-hour sessions running from 9 o'clock this morning until 3 o'clock this afternoon. And it's 2 hours of your time that you are sacrificing, which essentially one day might save somebody's life. And I think that really is invaluable. You can't.
And it does happen. It does happen.
Absolutely.
We've seen what happens on roads in our country, pedestrians being hit, just anything even going wrong at home. You're going to want to rather know the skills. Sarah, morning to you. So we're going to talk about the steps of CPR, etc. in a bit, but hopefully you don't have to get to that point because there's a Netcare app. Yes. As well. Tell me about this. This is fairly new, isn't it?
It is. We launched our Netcare app yesterday officially. If you have the old app, you can just update it. And if you don't have it, you can just quickly go on Google Play, download it, or your Apple Store. And it's a beautiful new app. It has a few new features, which is gap cover, booking an appointment, pre-admission. You can check how that goes. And one of our favorite buttons, obviously, is our 911 button. It's a little red button at the bottom. You click on it, it'll give you 2 options. On the right, it'll give you the option to either call yourself, to call the call center, or the second option would be to click the callback option, whereby our call center agents will call you back within 60 seconds. So in 60 seconds, they will call you to find out what your emergency is. Maybe poor Mandela collapsed at the V&A this morning. So they will call you back, and the beautiful feature about that is our geolocation, and the geolocation will also check or pinpoint where you are, and we'll just verify, sir, are you at the V&A waterfront? And you will tell us yes, and that's where Mandela collapsed.
I think it's such an important with the geolocate as well, because obviously you're both trained in this. You know how to remain calm in situations, but for the general public like me and everyone else, we panic in emergency situations. You suddenly can't remember where you are as well. So the geolocate, there it is for you on their website as well. But as Sarah says, head over to the App Store, download, also Google Play. Can we talk about Mandela very, very quickly?
Absolutely.
So the reason I want to spend just a moment or two before we even get into compressions and breathing rates and all that, you can't just start CPR on someone. Let maybe start with you, Kylie. When do you know you need to perform CPR? Just because someone's lying on the ground doesn't mean you have to start CPR.
Okay. So there's really 2 instances. One be in what we call a witnessed arrest, where you are potentially walking in a shopping mall and somebody collapses in front of you and you decide to obviously action the emergency, or you come across someone who is already unresponsive. The first step obviously is to make sure that you are safe, that you're not in a dangerous situation and it is safe for you to action the emergency. You would then obviously start by just establishing whether the patient is conscious, do they have a pulse, and are they breathing? And when I say breathing, there's a very, very telltale sign. We call it agonal breathing, where a patient almost looks like they're air hungry for the layperson.
Okay.
That is not considered normal breathing. That would then be an indication to immediately activate help and start CPR.
Is air, sorry, what was the term?
Air hunger.
Air
we call
hunger.
it gasping.
Is that like gasping?
That's gasping. That's not considered breathing.
All right, so then we reach the moment, maybe Sarah, you want to jump in on this one for me. We now want to, we've established there's actually an issue here. How do you begin? I mean, you don't just start, this is not the Hollywood, you don't just start jumping on people's chests.
Yes.
How do you begin to start the process? Where do you begin?
You begin by trying to see if the patient is breathing. So you look if their chest is rising or falling. You put your fingers on their neck here, in between the two gaps here, to feel for a pulse as well. The nice thing
Show us again, how far down is that? Because if I stick my finger there or I stick it here, I'm not going to get a pulse and I'm alive.
Yes, you just follow your clavicle,
Yeah.
Your bone here.
Yeah.
So you just follow that and you feel there.
Okay.
Just above your clavicle, and then you feel for a pulse, and you also look for chest rise, or you can put your hand on their chest to see if it's actually moving. If you don't feel a pulse for the next 30 seconds and you don't even see chest rise, then you will have to start CPR or pushing the chest.
All right. Now, obviously, one of you are going to be jumping up to do this. I'll tell you why, because I want the other person to explain to me what you're doing while you're performing. It's no good me doing it. I don't know what I'm doing. So maybe we can go through this. So we've established the scene. We've established there's perhaps no pulse, there's low breathing rate, all those things as well. So who wants to do the actual CPR? You're going to do that. So you can stand up, make yourself comfortable as well. Let me stand up with you so it doesn't look too weird. All right. So now you've arrived. What is the very first step? Maybe, Kylie, you just walk me through this like it's a bit of training.
So, Sarah, you're going to check if the patient is responsive. We've established the scene is safety or is safe. Mandela is not responding, so activate emergency response. Let's call 082 911 and tell them we have an emergency. Right, Sarah, if you could feel for a pulse for me on the side of the patient that you're standing. You feel for no less than 5, no more than 10 seconds while observing for obvious chest rise and fall. We've established that that is absent. I would now like you to place your hands in the position, one hand over the other, lock your elbows, lock your shoulders, and start compressions. You're going to count out aloud. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we want at least a compression rate of 100 to 120 compressions or pushes on the chest, as we call them to the layperson, 21, 22, 23, essentially 2 compressions per second. You will continue to do this until either a trained professional arrives or until you have another bystander who is willing to take over. We need to remember that when we're on the chest, every time Sarah comes off the chest, there's full chest recoil. We want that heart to be able to fill up with blood so that when we push on it again, we've got a good ejection and we are supporting the patient
all the way
circularly.
in, all the way
in, at least 5 centimeters on the adult and then all the way up. Very important, if you look at Sarah's posture, her elbows are locked, her shoulders are locked, she's not doing this. That gives you good support.
Another way of counting it, I suppose, if you're saying 100 to 100 compressions per minute, it's basically 2 every second.
Correct.
I mean, it's very, very fast to try and get this done. Maybe you did mention it. I might have been watching it on the monitor instead. Where on the chest? I know back in the day it used to be the sternum.
Yes. So back in the day they used to talk to, you know, between the nipples.
Yeah.
We now refer to the lower half of the breastbone. I mean, the layperson knows the sternum is the breastbone.
Maybe just lift Mandela up and just point towards the camera for us. We'll find you on camera somewhere.
So lower half of the breastbone.
Yeah.
You've got the hard bone in the center of the chest. You want your hands over there.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Also important, very important, not to bounce off the patient's chest, just a nice firm posture on the patient's chest, and you keep doing compressions until help arrives.
I feel like I'm going to ask a very, very stupid question. I'm probably going to ask a few stupid questions here, so forgive me. I'm seeing a lot of compressions. Where is the breathing? Where does that begin to take place, or is that not a thing anymore?
Gareth, yes, it is a thing.
Okay.
But if you are trying to explain to the layperson to perform what we call mouth-to-mouth breathing.
Right.
But firstly, it puts them at risk. So if they're not comfortable in giving the patient breaths, we can do what we call hands-only CPR.
Okay.
If they have a first aid kit, which is equipped with what we call a mouthpiece, which is a one-way valve, they're welcome to use that.
Right.
But what's most important in these instances is that we have continuous, non-interrupted chest compression.
That's the most important part.
Most important
And the reason I'm
aspect.
asking was, again, we're doing this Hollywood thing, Sarah, where you see it and they do 4 or 5 compressions and they breathe. And, But then you have to start getting into topics of, is the airway clear? You know, if you're not trained, you're not going to know even what to feel for or look for. So that's why we go with chest compressions.
Absolutely. We also don't want the layperson running around looking for barrier devices. And, you know, yes, if you know how to use it, if you've been trained in first aid, by all means, it will just augment the resuscitation.
I want to ask something as we start to say goodbye in a moment. Can you get, I don't want to scare anybody, but can you get it wrong? I mean, is there a way to know that you're getting it wrong? Or if you can do exactly what Sarah was showing us, that's about as good as the layperson can do.
That is probably as good as the layperson can do. What Netcare would also do is, if you call in an emergency, they have virtual real-time feedback. They will coach you while you are actually performing CPR and give you feedback. Push harder, push faster. Remember to let the chest recoil. So it is possible to get it wrong, but that's why we're pushing so hard for training, especially today. Also, over this next weekend, we've got an initiative called CPR in the Park, where we are reaching out to our communities. We want to empower them with a skill set that will potentially one day save a life.
I want to ask you something, Kylie, before you go. Sarah, I want to wrap up with you, though. So that's been beautifully done. This is why I wanted you to do it. I was going to give it a go, but there's no point while I'm trying to talk as well. So what we don't want now is someone at home deciding, oh, I'm going to try this on my little brother or sister.
No.
You can't. This is not a good idea on someone who's alive.
Yes, it's not.
Well, I mean, someone who's not having a cardiac issue.
Yes.
Don't go practice this on your brother
No,
or sister.
please don't.
Because you can obviously hurt them.
No, maybe your teddy bear if it's big enough.
If it's big
You
enough.
can practice on a teddy bear on a doll, but don't practice on a real life.
If you're doing
person who's
CPR
awake.
for the wrong reasons, the victim will let you know.
Yeah, they'll let you know. There's a good chance they're going to let you know very, very quickly. And Kylie, as I say goodbye to you, I saw it on screen a moment ago. So this is the free courses you're doing. It's a free demonstration down at the V&A Waterfront from 9 o'clock this morning. But, I mean, if we take a look at the FECC campuses, public can come and get more advanced training on this if they want to. You don't have to be a paramedic. You do wonderful work, by the way, but not everybody can become a paramedic. But public can get proper training?
Absolutely. So we offer quite a large variety of courses at the Faculty of Emergency and Critical Care, from your most basic first aid level 1 to basic first aid courses, basic BLS, which we call basic life support, that is centric to CPR. All the way up until undergraduate paramedic training. So we offer a large variety. You're welcome to get in touch and really see what we offer. We'd be glad to have you.
Well done to the both of you. I think for today, for Nelson Mandela Day, for what you're doing, both Kylie and Sarah, congratulations and thank you for coming in, making this possible as well. So Robben Island, V&A Waterfront from about 9 o'clock this morning. If you're in the area, go for it. As you heard from Kylie as well, go onto their website, go take a look for more advanced training. Very good for parents, by the way. You have no idea how important this will be. Also, go and get the app. I didn't know they had an app. It's very clever. Go look for the Netcare app.